There we go. Okay, hi everybody. I know we've introduced ourselves like 100 times, but just one last time. My name is Mackenzie. I'm a software engineer for the City of Toronto Open Data team. This is Reza. He's also a software engineer for the City of Toronto Open Data team. And we wanted to talk to you guys about how Toronto uses open data. Before we go any farther, I know the acoustics in this room are weird. Can you hear me in the back okay? Yeah, I'll speak up a little bit. If it gets too low, like, do something with your hands. Well, yeah, exactly. So now we want to discuss how we believe Toronto uses open data. And that's kind of like a nuanced sentence, a nuanced thing to discuss. So we want to break this down into 3 bits. We want to talk about what open data is. We want to talk about how we think Toronto uses open data. And then we want to wrap that all up by talking about how people here in this room can use open data. Before I start, I know everyone here knows what open data is. So like, don't interpret that as me like not thinking you know what it is, but everyone knows a different side of it. You know, some people know the legislative side, a lot of people know the technical side, maybe some people know a bit of both, maybe some people don't know either. I don't know. So what we're gonna do is establish like a common definition of it and use that to be the foundation of our conversation. So before we even do any of that though, we need to introduce ourselves for like a 9th time. Open data, the team at the City of Toronto and the City of Toronto bureaucracy, we're a team of 5 under like our IT department. We're 3 software developers. Me and Reza are 2 of them. Inan, who couldn't make it tonight, she's the 3rd. We also have a supervisor and a comms lead, and that's our whole team. We're responsible for a couple of things. At a high level, we are responsible for open.toronto.ca. That is Toronto's open data portal. But we're responsible for making sure that all those data sets are available, making sure that the code base that manages those data sets, that front end, and a lot of the data loading logic behind the scenes that you don't need to worry about, but would be happy to discuss with you later if you're curious. We make sure that those are all working properly. We make sure that a lot of ETL engines are working. That's just loading jobs to get data from wherever they are in the city up into the portal. We worry about those too. We also manage Twitter, and we have a blog up on our website that we'll talk about a little bit. And we have a inbox, an open data at toronto.ca inbox for all of your various open data questions. That's the scope of what we do at a high level. We'll talk a bit about the details in the next couple of minutes. If you ever have any questions about any of that, feel free to ask questions after or chat with us after this presentation. Now, finally, let's talk about what I mean by open data for this conversation. When I'm talking about open data today, I'm talking about publicly available data that comes from the City of Toronto government. So I'm talking about any of the various data sets that various departments in the city uses to quantify our success or failures, to let people know what we've been up to, or even just to, what's the word I'm looking for, direct our decision-making day to day. And you know, that can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but that's the smallest box that I can put that big thing in. We do our best to make sure that this is data. This is not analytics. These are not pie charts. These are data. These are, to speak clumsily, rows and columns. They're content. They're not summarized. I'm trying to give you the rawest stuff that we can, with varying levels of success there, and there's a bit of nuance to it. If anyone has questions about it, I would be more than happy to discuss that in a little bit. But we do our best to give you as granular stuff as we can. And now finally, the open part of that open data 1-2 punch combo is that it has to be open, which means that anybody can grab it. They don't need a login, they don't need an account, they don't need a credit card, they just need Wi-Fi and a computer. You can use it for whatever you like. Now, go wild with it. Now, if anyone here in the room is a policy wonk, and I know that there are at least one, we have a guiding document that within that general bit of what we do directs us a little more granularly. We can share with you a link on Slack if you're curious, but the fastest way to find it, Google Open Data Toronto Master Plan, and you'll find it. It'll be the first thing you find. It's a PDF up in public. It's very long. Now, what is open.toronto.ca? Well, that's our website, of course. Like I said, you don't need a login, you don't need an account, you don't need a credit card, we don't care. It's up and there for you. We do our best to provide data in as many formats as we can. be it, maybe via API. If it's spatial data, maybe we'll give it to you many different coordinate reference systems. We do our best to make sure that what we're giving you is accessible as well as usable. And to repeat, it's for anyone, for any purpose. Now with that out of the way, because I think we all knew different parts of that or most of that, let's talk about how we think Toronto uses open data. Now, first, we at the open data team, we share that data, and we share it with two primary groups of people. We share it with the public at large, mostly people in Toronto, but there are people who use it in different parts of the country, a couple of users in the States, a couple in Europe, a couple in East Asia, but they're a minority. But we also share it within the city bureaucracy. And when I first found that out, I thought that was wild. I'm like, well, why would we share it within the city bureaucracy? Why don't bureaucrats just share it with each other directly? And then I looked at this list of like all of the divisions at the city, and I was like, okay, that's wild. And then someone reminded me, oh, these divisions at the city, they're not teams of 5, they're like whole organizations, right? They're huge old organizations that have to do wildly different things, like put out fires or keep track of COVID cases. Like that's hugely complicated. And they all have their own different data management practices. And because each division is their own like corporation, for lack of a better word, and because they have their own different data management practices, that makes sharing data very hard for all kinds of reasons. Formatting, quality, networking, and a bunch of other buzzwords that I'm not going to waste my time talking about. But that gives open data an opportunity to step between those various divisions and be a middleman. Take data from a source division and share it with all of the other divisions. Divisions then, you can see them as like consumers and providers of data. And that gives us like an opportunity to be in the middle for all of these different organizations. It allows us to provide data for many different use cases. And it also forces us to have to be a little flexible in how we ingest and provide data. Now, talking about use cases, there are all kinds of ways that people have used open data in the past and are currently using it now. I put up a list of a bunch of ones that we know about, but because we don't keep a comprehensive list, because we don't require people to tell us what they're doing with the data when they download it, there's definitely a bunch of stuff on here we don't know about. But these are the high-level ones that we do know about. And we looked at this recently and we asked ourselves, well, there must be something a little more granular that we can get from people using our portal. There must be a little bit more insight that we can pull from it. And knowing that I wasn't able to do competent stuff like that, I gave that job to Reza. Reza did a bunch of really cool analytics, and that's what he's going to talk about now. Reza, can I hand you the microphone?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Reza Ghasemzadeh, and software developer at Open Data Team and your former classmate at U of T. So happy to be back to campus. So yeah, we ran some analytics on the open data traffic stats to monitor the performance of the portal and then get a sense of and observe the user's preferences in order to find the possible areas of improvement and opportunities to increase our service quality in terms of more reliable service and rich data, so we can provide insight to the divisions and telling them, for example, transportation services, this data set is getting visited too much. You can increase its quality, and this is the insights. The way we did that, we extracted the portal traffic stats, and the stats includes 2 reports. One of them is dataset visits, which is just when a user goes to our portal and visit a page. But for visiting, we are considering sessions, which means that the sessions is the time a user in our website. It's no matter of like going between different pages within our website. And so it's different from views. And the second stat is file downloads. And also you can find these raw stats from by scanning this QR code or going directly to our portal and search for open data web analytics. First analysis is that we were curious to know what are the top divisions that users are interested in as you can see, transportation services is our top runner, which consumes around 12% of our portal traffic. And next in line is social development, finance and administration, Toronto public health, city planning, and formerly information and technology, which is now is technology services, and the rest of them. So to make sense of these numbers for you, you can see the monthly average and the weekly average. So the top runners are visited around 400 times a week. And the total visits is at the last row. You can see it's around 175 sessions per year, excuse me. And then, this is one of my favorite plots. We were curious to know how these shares are distributed, how our portal bandwidth is distributed between different divisions. So if you see the beginning of this plot, so let me give you some background about how this plot is generated. It's a cumulative sum plot. So it's basically you put this percentage share, it's 11.39, and then you for the second point, I'm not sure. Yeah, you can see my mouse.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, you add the next percentage, so it's adding together. So they are ranked top to down, and you can from these plots say that the top 6 the top 6 divisions are responsible for 55% of our portal traffic, and which is very interesting for us because we have 41 divisions up to by the end of the 2022, which is increasing. We had 41 divisions supplying data, sending data to our portal, and just 6 of them are responsible for the 55% of the traffic. And if you look at the end of this tail, it's interesting that the bottom 10 are rarely visited. So this is something for us. It means that we may reach out to those divisions in terms of, hey, can you increase your data quality? The people may not be interested, or can you do something? Or if we may remove them from the portal if we think people are really not interested in them. But this is the worst case scenario that we want that. We don't do that. Next, if we go one level deeper, is about, okay, we know the top divisions. Let's talk about top visited datasets. Datasets and packages are the same. The top 5 are brought to here for the 2022. The neighborhood profile is the top runner, which provides this dataset is based on the Canada census, population census, and it provides the demographics, economics, and these sorts of characteristics about for 140 neighborhoods in the city of Toronto. It's a very rich data set. The second in line is 3D massing, which is a geospatial package approved by GCC, correct me if I'm wrong. And this just the 3D model of the city of Toronto has many applications. Third is outbreak in Toronto healthcare institutions, excluding COVID-19. So it means that still people are interested in this data set, and it's brought to us by Toronto Public Health. And the last one also, you're with me, I will explain the first one. The last one is for the COVID, which is dedicated for the COVID, and this data set was updating weekly, correct me if I'm wrong, this week. Yeah, weekly to provide information to the public. and also for our internal clients and divisions. And the fourth one is the election results official, which is expected because of the mayor election in October. So to investigate it more, we were interested in to see their time series, by which I mean their behavior over the months. You can get some insight over here. For example, you can understand why these election results official is one of our top runners because of the obviously October election. And then also you can do some analysis on the time series and get some explanation about why and see the usage of the COVID cases and the outbreak in Toronto Healthcare Institution data set goes up when there is lockdown or the opposite and there is vaccination rules. And I think for the neighborhood profiles, they used it for like mapping and driving policy to see which area needs a priority for the vaccinations. And the next plot is about, we were curious to know whether or not our users moved forward and downloaded our data set or they just was visiting them. So this is one of the interesting plots. You can see again, outbreaks in Toronto Healthcare Institution is the top runner and neighborhood profiles, but there is 3 new data sets, building permits, TTC subway delay data, and bike share Toronto. These 3 were not present in the previous plot, which was for visits. So this means that for those election officials, COVID cases and 3D massing, maybe the preview of the data was enough for the users. And finally, we got another interesting plot, which is civic issues. Here you can see that people, what is the concerns of the people of and citizens of the city of Toronto. Each day, I'm going to explain you how this plot is created. Each data set is tagged with a civic issue. For example, TTC delay data is tagged with mobility. Housing, affordable housing is the civic issue for building permit, and etc. So this is like a pulse of watching the trend, and it says the mobility, affordable housing, and poverty reduction are the main concerns of our citizens. Thank you. I want to pass the floor to Mackenzie.
Yeah, thanks, man. Cool. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, so I'm going to wrap up as quickly as we can. I think we're almost out of time, right? Yeah. So look, that's kind of the guts of what we got into. We're really here, though, everybody, to talk to you all. We're interested in feedback, questions, and whatnot that you have. High level, what we've talked about today is how we believe people use open data. We know that the bureaucracy uses it, and we know that there are people out there that use it for all kinds of reasons. Reza's analysis has shown us that like a lot of what has been done, at least in 2022, is pretty representative of the year of 2022, the election, outbreaks, lockdowns, etc. And we are really excited not only to share that data with you, like Reza said, it's all available, but we're really excited to invite all of you to use it yourself. Crunch some of those numbers, see if you can find anything that we missed. And if you can find something interesting, please talk to us. We have a blog up on our website. We're always looking for people who have interesting, be it machine learning related stories, data science related stories or analyses that they ran. If it's something compelling and flushed out, we are always open to having a conversation about publishing some of that stuff on our website, especially if it's using our data. One other thing, that visualization, that Reza made here, We're considering making like an evergreen version or versions of some of these and putting it up on our website just for people who are interested. We've got some rough ideas, but if anyone has any input, feedback, or ideas of things that they think would be useful for whatever they use open data for day-to-day, we'd also be really happy to hear about that too. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?